today's session with Read Aloud, and then we will discuss Describe Image. Okay, so let me share my slides with you and let's get started. All right, so the first topic, as I was saying, we are discussing today is Read Aloud. Okay, now the way actually I have designed my slides and the way I will cover this topic is, firstly I will show you where exactly you will get this topic in your PT exam, like I mean at which point. I will show you how many marks it gives you towards its respective communication skills, and then we will get into the details of it as well. Okay, so have a look over here. What is the name of the section?
Speaking and writing.
Yes, okay. Speaking and writing, and in case you guys don't know, speaking and writing is the very first section of your PT exam. Okay, and where do you have Read Aloud in here? At the very top. Okay, so Read Aloud basically is the very first topic you will do in your PT exam. Okay, now where does it gives you marks? It gives you marks towards your reading and towards your speaking. Okay, and you guys can have 6 or you can have 7 questions for Read Aloud in your PT exam. Okay, as I was saying, Read Aloud, if you guys have a look over here, is the very first topic you will do in your PT exam. Okay, and it gives you marks not towards just one communication skill, it gives you marks for reading and for speaking. Now, in case any of you are new to PTE or this is your very first class for any PTE task, there are a couple of things that I want you to keep in mind for PTE. And what is that? Firstly, if you see, as I just pointed out, the task is one, but it is giving you marks towards 2 communication skills, towards speaking and towards reading. Okay, and also another thing in here, that what is the name of the section? Speaking and writing. Okay, but you are getting marks for reading from this section. Okay, so this is one of the things about PT you have to keep in mind, and that is, you guys can say, also one of the main reasons why this section is so important, because if you have a look, you are literally getting marks towards every communication skill from this section. Like you got writing task in here, you got listening, you got speaking, you got reading here as well. That's the thing. Okay, now let's move along. So next, what we have in here is a priority order for reading. Now, what does priority order means? This basically means that you have all the topics for reading listed in order of importance actually. Order of importance, so that means basically going from the most important topic towards least important. Okay, so in here, if you have a look, the topic at the top and the one we are discussing right now, Read Aloud, you can say is the most important for your reading. Okay, and least important for reading would be, you can say, reading MCQ single. Okay, similarly, if I actually discuss it for speaking, you have just these 5 topics. So Read Aloud would more or less come in here with 20% weightage. Okay, by the way, this 20% means basically 20% of 90. Okay, so that translates to, of course, 18 marks in here. And same in the previous slide when it was saying 28%, so that means basically 28% of 90 marks. Okay, because in PT what happens, your overall score is 90 and then you have a total 90 marks for each communication skill, like 90 for reading, 90 for writing, 90 for listening, and 90 for speaking. Okay, major points in here that I just covered. Read Aloud is a part of your speaking and writing section. Okay, this is your very first topic of your exam. And where does it gives you marks? Towards reading and speaking, and it's super important for reading and quite important, you can say, for speaking as well. Okay, now let's move on. So now showing you the exam screen. Okay, and basically what this topic is all about, what are you exactly doing in here? Okay, so in the read aloud, you will be given a passage more or less like this one. Okay, you will be given a certain time to prepare. Like if you guys seen here, the statement says in 40 seconds you must read this text aloud as naturally and clearly as possible. Okay, and if you seen here, this also says beginning in 40 seconds. So what actually this is representing is your preparation time. Okay, this is the time you guys have to actually go through this passage, make yourself familiar with different lines with different words. What will happen after that is, like after this preparation time is over, then you will get another 40 seconds time. Okay, and this 40 seconds now is your answering time actually. Okay, and what you will do in this 40-second time, you basically will read this passage aloud. Okay, in other words, you will record your answer saying the same passage you have written on your screen. Okay, or in other words, as the topic says, you are reading aloud. That's the thing. Okay, now in here, one thing very important to remember, as I just pointed out, when it is saying beginning in 40 seconds, this is representing my preparation time. Okay, when this time is over and the answering time is about to start, you will hear the sound of beep in your headset. Okay, I'll repeat it again. When this preparation time is over and answering time is about to start, you will hear the sound of beep in your headset. But at times, maybe because of some technical issue, you might not hear that. Okay, so what you should do is, when this is saying, let's just say beginning in 2 seconds, make sure like that you are almost ready, you are like preparing to start like recording your answer, and the minute it says current status recording, okay, then you start speaking, you start recording your answer. Okay, don't like make any 1 second or a couple of seconds of pause over there, it will count as an error. All right, now let me put these things in bullet points. So preparation time, mostly it will be 40 seconds, but depending on the length of the passage, sometimes it can vary between 30 and 40 seconds. Okay, and the same goes for your answering time. That can vary between 30 and 40 seconds. And these things I already explained in detail. You have a passage on screen, maximum word limit you can say can more or less go up to 60 words. And what you have to do, you have to record the passage by speaking loudly using the same set of words you have written on your computer screen. Okay, and you get the marks towards speaking and reading from here. A little bit of a look at a marking criteria. Okay, because if you guys have a look at the nature of this topic, it's not that complicated. Okay, it's nothing like you're coming up on your own, you have something written clear cut and all you have to do it is read it basically. Okay, but you have to realize this thing, it's not like there is an examiner sitting in front of you who is checking how well you are doing and all. It's all being done by a computer program. Okay, so you have to know what are the things computer marks you upon and what are some of the errors that you can lose more marks in. Okay, and this is what we will discuss here now. So if we talk about marking criteria, you have basically these three things in here. Okay, oral fluency and pronunciation. Remember, these two will always go towards your speaking. Okay, they are your speaking marking criterias, and be it may read aloud, describe image, any other speaking task, you will always be marked for these two. Okay, and here in the content will actually go you can say towards your reading score. Sorry, there is something wrong with my mouse today. Okay. But the thing is, how well you will do in your fluency and pronunciation, that will actually translate your marks for reading, especially for pronunciation, you can say. Okay, because if you didn't say the words correctly, or if the word is something else but you are saying something else, okay, then of course you're not gonna get the marks for reading. That's the thing. Okay, so let's discuss a bit about oral fluency first, and then we'll discuss pronunciation. Now, if you have a look at this table, this is this table actually I have taken straight out of Pearson's Core Guide, and here it shows you that you are marked out of 5 over here. 5 is the maximum marks. Okay, and 5 they classify as native like oral fluency. Okay, and what they say about it as is speech shows smooth rhythm and phrasing. Then it says there are no hesitations, repetitions, false starts, or non-native phonological simplifications. All right, so it is asking you some things to do and some things to avoid actually. All right, now let me put it in like 2 separate slides so I can explain you more clearly. Firstly, remember these are the don'ts of speaking. These are the things I have to avoid in all my speaking tasks. Okay, now I will discuss them one by one. Firstly, no pauses. Okay, that I believe is self-explanatory. Pauses as in like no unnecessary gaps, like you don't unnecessarily stop in the middle of a sentence. Okay, like point, what does it say? No fillers. Okay, now what are fillers? If you see, that should give you, yeah. Okay, so when like you're not fully confident, you don't know exactly the next word you're gonna say, so you insert sounds like those sort of things. Those are known as fillers. Okay, avoid it in all your speaking tasks in PTE. Okay, because at times they can make you lose a lot of marks. All right, now the next point in here, no repetitions. Repetitions as in, I believe you understand that, let's just say you said a word but somehow you felt that you didn't say it correctly. Yes. Okay, don't do that. All right, because it can count as an error. All right, if let's just say you have made an error, let's just say in the read aloud, yes, just continue. Okay, because the thing is, this I will talk about a bit more in pronunciation. You can say your pronunciation is actually based on a bit of an approximation algorithm. At times, even if you don't say the 100% correct thing, but if you say the closest possible thing, at times, like it does, you can say, gives you the marks. But if somehow you felt that you didn't say it and then you are repeating it again, then you're definitely making a mistake. With hesitation in here, hesitation, of course, means that when you're not fully confident, okay, you're not exactly sure, you're a bit nervous. All right. So you will agree with me that hesitation can come off as any of these 3 points. Okay. But other than that, and the major reason for putting it as a separate point is the tone or loudness of your voice at times can give away if you are hesitating, if you are a little bit nervous. Okay, so it's very important that you sound confident. Okay, so what does that mean? And what you should do, make sure you speak a bit loudly with a bit of energy in your voice, that you sound confident just by the tone, by the loudness of your voice. That's also important in here. That's it. Okay, and the last point, of course, as I already said, that it's all regulated by a computer, so there is no need for any sort of courtesy words of speaking. As I was just explaining you guys, that is majorly more about intonation. Okay, so intonation, if you have a look at this slide in here, is having certain highs and lows in the tone or the loudness of your voice. Okay, now how you do that? Very simply, first of all, when you have a full stop, just take a very brief 1 second pause. It doesn't need to be more than that. Okay, as I was just talking to you guys about it. And when it comes to commas, just half a second pause. Okay, so half a second pause is, you guys can say, just like breaking your flow actually. Okay, breaking your flow as in that you are reading your passage, you are going through it in a flow, and then you just like break your flow and then you continue. That's it. It doesn't need to be more. Okay, that I will show you just in a minute. And other important thing is doing phrasing properly. That is like a very important. Okay, now what is phrasing? Firstly, a lot of you who have taken this lecture or any other lecture before, you should know by this point what phrases are. Say any two or more than two words that make sense together. Okay, any two or more than two words that actually like combine to give a particular meaning and are supposed to be said together. Yes. Okay, I'll give you an example. Let's just say if I just take a read, what will I call it? I will call it a word actually, right? Because it is just like one thing. But when I take both of these, all right, now it is two words. Okay, and these two words, if you realize, are complementing each other. They are making sense together. No. Adjective, those things, they can be for one word. Okay, phrases is when you are combining two or more than two words and they are actually making sense together. Like, yeah, that's it. Okay, so in that case, like beating around, that can be a phrase. Okay, and also around the bush, that is also a phrase. Looking for it, definitely. Look into, made up, all these things are, you can say, your phrases. Okay, whenever any two more than two words are, you can say, making any sort of sense together, that like you can say counts as a phrase basically. Okay, so read aloud is a like phrasing. Yeah. Now what does phrasing means? Phrasing means that whatever phrase you come across, you always say the words of a phrase together, like in one flow, without any pause or whatsoever. Okay, this is like, you can say, the major thing that will automatically bring the proper intonation and rhythm in your read alouds. Okay, so let's just say if we take this phrase, I will always say it as read aloud. I would never say it as read aloud. That will be wrong. Okay, so you see, I say it in one flow, read aloud. Okay, similarly, the other topics, the other phrases you will come across in your passages, make sure you say them together in one flow. Okay, like if you have a look over here, uh, in this passage actually I have highlighted some phrases for you. Okay, so I will say them as major breeding areas, breeding islands, dark green areas, like all of the phrases, all the words of a phrases in one flow basically. That's it. Okay, now another thing over here that you can say does matter up to some extent for your fluency is your speed. Okay, now it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to speak really fast or you have to like finish your sentences in a certain period of time. Some of you might have like heard this thing that you have to say in like really fast or you have to finish it in like 10-15 seconds to get a good mark. It's nothing like that. Okay, you have to make sure you have the proper rhythm by phrasing that I just explained. Okay, but other than that, I will say keep these rough time frames in mind to make sure you are not taking way too much of time with your words. Okay, like if let's just say you have 1.5 to 2 lines, so keeping your time frames roughly 14 to 18 seconds. Okay, if you have 2 to 3 lines, 18 to 23 seconds, and if it's a bit longer, ideal time for it I would say would be 23 to 29 seconds. This is in front of you, and then we'll talk a bit about pronunciation, and then we'll have a look at different questions. So the ideal speed you can say for this passage would be that you say it as Major breeding areas and breeding islands are shown as dark green areas or dots. Open dots show no breeding records on islands and are also used for offshore sightings, that is from ships or boats. Other areas where species is not meant to be seen are plain pale green, with pale green hatching where records are usually sparse. Okay, so you see wherever I had commas, how did I say it? Like let's just say if I take the second line, I said it as open darts show no breeding records on islands and are also used for offshore sightings, that is from ships or boats. So I just broke my flow and then I continued. Okay, and wherever you have full stop, just a very brief 1 second pause, not more than that. Like I'm saying it as are shown as dark green areas or dots. Open darts show no breeding records, that's it, not more than that. Okay, now any questions regarding the things I have discussed? Anything, guys, that's not clear, please ask. I will just talk a bit about pronunciation and then we will do different questions together. But anything you want to ask before that? All good? Okay. Now, a bit of a discussion about pronunciation, as in what it is about, how it is marked. So, native-like pronunciation, they say that all vowels and consonants are produced in a manner that is easily understood by regular speakers of the language. The speaker uses assimilation and deletions appropriate to continue speech. Stress is placed correctly in all words, and sentence level stress is fully appropriate. Okay, so what it is actually trying to say are some of these things in here. Okay, now if we have any word, be it made this example I wrote over here, or if you take any other word, you can say the base unit of pronunciation for a word will always be something known as a syllable. A syllable. All right. Now, what is that actually? So, I believe you guys would know that A, E, I, O, U, we call them basically vowels. Okay. So, the sounds of these characters, I can term them as vowels. Other alphabets are known as consonants. So, I can call their sound consonant sound basically. Okay. Now, syllable is, you can say, a vowel sound that at times can be with a consonant sound or it can be without a consonant sound as well. That is what I will term as a syllable. Okay. So for this word inferno, I have actually three syllables. Infer and no. Okay. Now don't get nervous in here that I have to identify syllables for every word and stuff and all. No, you don't have to do that. Okay. What the main purpose of telling you this is basically that make sure you say your words clearly and loudly enough in read aloud. So computer can detect these syllables and can detect the whole word. Okay, because the thing is computer does not know the entire word as a whole in general. What it does know are syllables, and then based on syllables it makes sense of the whole word. Okay, so what you do is, especially for your important words in a line, in like in your read aloud in there, try to put a bit of stress on them, as in like I will say, try to say them more clearly and loudly so computer can detect those properties. Okay, so with the important words, what I mean is, let's just say if we take something like this. Okay, like this passage. In the first line, if you see, I have highlighted some words like domestication, evolutionary, and political development. And you will agree with me that these words are containing more information compared to, just like is and rather than and it. Okay. So I will try to say this more clearly and more loudly. That is it. Yes, that's it. Okay. Now it doesn't mean that you overstress them or you say like domestication is domestication. No, not like that. What I'm trying to say is make sure you say them more clearly and loudly. Like yes. Not the syllables necessarily. I mean like the whole word. That's it. Okay. Like you're more careful with pronunciation of these words. That's it. Okay. All right, guys. Now, any questions in here? Please